Well, hello everyone. I'm going to just take a minute, be sure I have my screen shared. Well, I'm happy to be joining you this morning, sharing about a couple of my favorite ed tech tools. We're going to be just chatting a little bit about literacy creation, pairing together WriteReader with another one of my favorites, which is Seesaw. So also, as you're dropping in the chat too, just to give us an idea, if you're familiar. Okay, so Kim wrote, she's brand new to WriteReader and loves Seesaw. So even if we kind of have an idea if you're a Seesaw user or a WriteReader user, both, neither, that would be awesome to know. So welcome. Thanks for dropping that. I'll kind of keep checking in on that as we continue today. So my name, as Babar said, is Traci Piltz. I'm in Billings, Montana. I am a district tech integration specialist. So my classroom teaching experience is with kindergartners. I taught kindergarten for 12 years. And now for the past 7 years, I've been working in tech integration. So I get to go to buildings all over our city and help kids and teachers integrate technology meaningfully into their classrooms, which has been amazing. And I love sharing some of these tools like I'm going to share with you today. So Seesaw and WriteReader are two of my favorites that I love sharing. And I know that they're great because the teachers and students when I leave are, begging me to come back and share more. So it's been really fantastic. So what we're going to do today is dig into WriteReader a little bit. I'm just going to kind of go into the basics of WriteReader. It looks like a lot of us are new to WriteReader, so we'll just kind of dig into the basics a little bit. We're going to chat about images within WriteReader and how we can use those in our writing, the templates that they have in WriteReader and how those can be used, and then sort of how to bring that all together in Seesaw. There's a bit.ly right here. If you want to grab a copy of the slides that I'm going through, you can use that bit.ly. I could go ahead and grab the link too, and I'll just drop that link in there. That might be easier. So if you want to follow along in the slides, go ahead and click that link and that should take you there. All right, so we're going to start just a little bit with some WriteReader basics. For those of you who are brand new to WriteReader. For those of you who have used it before, I don't know if you noticed, they kind of snuck this in at the end of our school year, but that login screen has gotten a little update, which I think is amazing. It just differentiates a little bit. It used to be a similar kind of icon on both the educator and the student login screen. And I really love this simple little update that makes it so easy for our students. I work mostly with kindergarten through third grade students, so I think these visual cues are so important. But now when you go to app.writereader.com and either click login, or if you're setting up your account for the first time, you'll just kind of notice these visual icons. So we know where our students are logging in, and then our teachers can log in as well. So if you haven't set up an account yet, the link to setting up your account is down here below. You can create a free account to get started. You can choose the kind of login that you want your students to use. So if you want them to log in with Google, if you want them to access through Google Classroom, you can set it up that way. I work with young students. Most of them don't sign in using their Google account. So I just set up a username for them, and they're able to log in easily. I make their username their name. And so they just log in using their name, and then they have a short little class code that they enter. Again, I've done this with students as young as kindergarten, and they have no problem accessing just typing in their name and typing in that class code. It's always, I think, great practice when they do. I think sometimes we try to simplify things almost too much for those young students. I think it's really good practice for them to have to type in their name, identify those letters on the keyboard and type in their name. So I think having them log in is really great practice. Once you get your account set up, again, you'll notice the little users tab where you can add in your students if you're using the username and the code in order for them to sign up. So you can click on the user tab. When I first started with WriteReader, I just made myself kind of a play around class. I'll kind of pop over here. Um, in fact, I think it's the one my daughter has taken over. She made me name it Unicorns. But I just went ahead and made myself a class that I kind of play around in. I added just a couple of sort of fake students in here so that I can also log in as a student when I want to and see what that student side looks like. And then I can go into that book library. I can play around with making books and creating things and just kind of practice. So if you're wanting to give it a try, either you're done with school for the year or you're just not quite ready to use it with your students yet, but you want to play around, just create a practice class and kind of play around, log in as a student and see how it works as a student. I really enjoy kind of doing that and seeing how it works. There is a little settings tab up here at the top. So when you're in your WriteReader account, you can click on the settings tab and you can kind of get a peek at the sorts of things that you could modify. And it also gives you an idea of what is available to the students in here. And then you can modify some of these things if you'd like. You'll notice from this tab, this is actually one of the kids' favorite things. They automatically see one another's books on the bookshelf. So when I click on my unicorn class again, if they were logged in, they could either be on the tab that says my books and only see what they create, or if they click class books, they can actually immediately view their classmates' books. This is something that they absolutely love, to be able to that quickly come over here and view what their classmates are writing. But again, in the settings, that's something you can toggle off if you don't want them to view those immediately. When you start a book, so you're clicking on the blue plus in the bottom here to start a new book. All of the things that you can do on the page as you're editing, you can add text, add a picture, students can voice record. There's this educator or adult writing field down here at the bottom. This is one of the things that I really do think sets WriteReader apart. I always kind of envision in my kindergarten classroom when my students were writing in their journals, and I would sort of walk around and conference with a few of them, have them tell me about what they were writing, maybe make some notes to myself on the page. To me, that's what this section here can be. So I can kind of be writing those notes. Maybe I'm going to pop a little word bank in there, something that will be really supportive and helpful. There's then a speech button, so they could click it and actually listen to whatever I've written down here in that educator field. So I think that can be a really huge support and help. And then of course, delete a page. Sometimes they get a little click happy and they start adding extra pages. And so it's really simple to delete them from there as well. Images within WriteReader is really one of my favorite I guess tools or resources to use just to get kids really thinking and inspired and motivated to write. In our kindergarten classroom, I was always impressed with the writing that they could do. But I felt like a real struggle sometimes was getting them to come up with a topic. I would do a model and give them an example, and then every single story in the room would be about whatever my example was, right? Because it's what they heard. So I really love how easy it is for them if they are kind of having some trouble thinking of some ideas to get into that image bank and just kind of scroll around, and it'll usually spark some inspiration and they'll come up with something to write about. I had to feature this little Minecraft image bank. They put this image bank in there, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago. And I tell you what, I go into, it was a lot of second grade classrooms. And as soon as they saw this, I mean, they were sold. And so lots and lots of really interesting stories. Again, maybe they would take these images and they would write narrative stories. They would make up stories about, Steve and what's happening in Minecraft, lots of how-to stories. So they would grab one of these images and then they would explain how you build, this pickaxe in Minecraft. Here's how you would build it. And so even though maybe I had 10 Minecraft stories, it was just really fantastic to see the creativity there and the different types of stories that they were coming up with. So WriteReader has this embedded image bank and then also search tools. And the search tools are fantastic because they're also filtered, they're copyright free, they're pulled from Pixabay, and so we know that they're okay to use. And I'm going to just kind of pop over. Sorry, my little Zoom toolbar keeps getting into my tab up there. There we go. So when I click, like I'm going to start a book down here, I'm just going to go ahead and start a new one. When I click on that image option, you'll see that I can scroll through here and I can see all of these different image banks where they can pull and draw that inspiration from. They love the animal ones. I'm going to click on the animals. So there's all of these that they can draw inspiration from. And then if they click on the search tool, they could also search for images right in here. And you'll notice there's even this microphone audio tool here. So some of the students, the younger students, if they need a little bit of support, they could click and just speak what they're looking for, and it'll help them pull up all of these different images. You'll also notice you could use the camera and upload images that they have saved on the device. So I love that feature as well because I think it really personalizes and adds ownership to these stories. These were a couple of fun examples. I taught remote first grade the beginning of the year. So this is from one of my remote first graders, but around Mother's Day, she just logged into WriteReader and started writing a story about her mom. And so I loved that she uploaded a picture that she had. I like how she kind of cropped herself out too. But she uploaded a picture that she had of her mom and then wrote this whole story about her mom to share with her on Mother's Day. This one is from a school year memory book. And so the student could write about their favorite parts of this school year. And then again, either snap a picture or grab a picture that they had on their device and then put in these real pictures. So, she's telling about her field trip to Riverfront Park where they went fishing, and she gets to add in a picture of herself at Riverfront Park fishing. And again, that's just so powerful and adds that ownership, and that just makes these stories, I think, really special. Another one of my favorite features to use in WriteReader is the template tool. This is again a fairly new update, but it's provided, and I'll kind of just hop back over into my account really quickly. It's provided kind of this bank of books that are already available that you could use with your students. So when I'm on my bookshelf as a teacher, I can click on the template library. I could filter over here by grade level, by subject, and then I could search and find maybe a book or an idea that I want to use with my students. So if I click on this My Feelings book, I could scroll through and I could kind of see what this entails. There's some little notes down here that I can see that gives some instructions. If this is something that I want to use with my students, I'm just going to simply click on the button that says use, and then it's going to add it into my bookshelf. And you'll notice that it's opening up in edit mode. So if it's where I want it and I'm happy with it how it is, I could just go ahead and toggle on this template button here, and that's going to give my students access to this template. I could also go through and edit. It's just basically made me my own copy of this so I could change it in ways that I want to change it. Sometimes I like putting some of the prompts, depending on what age group I work with, I like adding some of the prompts either in the educator text or the comment so that if I think they're going to need that audio support, they can click and listen and get that audio support. Maybe I want to change a page or two. You can edit and adapt it for your own class. So you have that bank of templates with ideas, I think, that can be really, really very helpful. You can also make your own template. So if you have a particular idea, we did one in a kindergarten class where they were learning about butterflies. And so we wanted just a little template to, again, give them that support and that structure for what they were writing. So I was able to just, in my WriteReader account, just click on the plus sign and start a blank book and create it however I wanted to create it, whatever I wanted that structure to be. And then I'm going to toggle on that template button. When my students go to log in, when they click on the plus button to start a new story, they can then select the template from these images here. So rather than starting a blank book, they'll just be able to click and start writing from a template. And I think I just have that graphic in here just to show you when they click on the plus sign, they can grab that template. This is, again, just showing those pre-made book templates that I think can be super helpful. I know Babar's always looking for great template ideas too. So if you create a book that you use with your students and it works really well, you can grab the book link and email that to Babar at WriteReader, and that you might see that in that template library that the community can use books from. Kim asked a great question. Children can see each other's stories, but can't comment or add. Yep, and they can view them, but yeah, they can't edit or anything in those books that they're viewing. So now let's talk a little bit about Seesaw and WriteReader together. I think most of you had indicated you were pretty familiar with Seesaw. Yeah, awesome. I think that's a great idea, Stacy, to use a template as a good introduction piece. Absolutely, just to give them that little bit of structure, so that you know kind of what you're looking for as they begin writing. So that's a great idea. So what I really love about Seesaw is the ability to share. Seesaw kind of in our classrooms, I think here in Billings,